Business Book Summaries. Have you heard the remarkable tale of Ronald Read, the janitor who had a whopping $8 million in savings when he passed away in 2014? It's true. He was just a janitor, but he managed to save a colossal $8 million. And here's the kicker: he didn't win the lottery, and he didn't inherit this money from anyone. He achieved this by consistently saving throughout his life and letting the power of compound interest work its magic. The lesson here is that your money habits often matter more than how smart you are. You don't need a fancy degree from a prestigious university like Harvard or a high-paying job on Wall Street to become wealthy. As Morgan Housel wisely puts it, financial success isn't like solving a complex math problem. It's more about how you handle your money than what you know. Invest just 10 to 15 minutes of your time in watching this video, and you'll be on your way to mastering the skill of investing. It's a concise summary of the top 5 takeaways from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel.
Before we delve further, remember that we regularly share new content. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Business Book Summaries and hit the notification bell for the latest updates.
Takeaway 1. Embrace the cost. Imagine you desire a new, stylish watch. You stroll into the store, eyeing the choices, with the hope of impressing your friends and your special someone. Now, you're presented with 2 options: pay for the watch or simply snatch it and sprint away. After all, you've been keeping up with your cardio, haven't you? Chances are you'd opt for the first choice, regardless of your physical prowess. You'd reach for your card and make the right decision. The point here is that you understand that obtaining that new watch has a price tag, a cost attached to it. Investing is no different. It comes with its own cost. As you follow the videos on this channel, you'll encounter recurring lessons for achieving high returns. One of them is maintaining a somewhat focused investment portfolio, although Peter Lynch might be an exception to this rule. A concentrated portfolio provides an edge to your performance, but it also brings in volatility. This is the cost you pay for the potential of reaping substantial returns in the stock market over the long haul. If you can't stomach the roller coaster ride when your net worth dips by, let's say 20% in a single week, because a couple of your main holdings didn't meet analysts' expectations in their quarterly earnings reports, then you shouldn't aim for maximum returns. It's a simple trade-off. The higher the returns you seek, the higher the cost you're likely to pay. Consider this scenario. A decade ago, you had an uncanny foresight about Netflix's bright future, and you invested a significant chunk of your wealth in the company's stock. You'd be pretty well off today, right? But could you endure the turbulence that came with it? Netflix had its fair share of severe downturns during that time. Would you have stayed put in 2011 when Netflix lost droves of customers and its stock price plummeted by a whopping 80% from its peak in the following months? Your portfolio's returns would look dismal. What would you tell your spouse and kids? Could you handle the thought that you might have jeopardized their future? Would you still believe that an all-in Netflix approach was a good idea? Granted, this is an extreme example, but even if your investment approach is less extreme than going all in on Netflix, you'll still face the cost of volatility. Let's say you purchased an S&P 500 index fund back in 1980. You would have encountered roughly 13 years when your investment portfolio was down 20% from its peak and about 8 months when it was down 50%. That's a bumpy ride. Investing in the stock market is a remarkable path to wealth creation, but let's not deceive ourselves. It isn't free. All investors will experience volatility, and you must consider it the price you're willing to pay for a brighter financial future. Takeaway 2. Avoiding the never-ending pursuit. It's quite intriguing how you can hand someone a $2 million bonus, and they're content until they discover that the person next to them got $2 million and $1, and suddenly they're unhappy for the next year. Capitalism excels at 2 things: creating wealth and creating envy. The desire to outdo our neighbors, friends, and colleagues can be a powerful motivator for hard work and striving to achieve success. Being inspired to become more productive and engage in meaningful work is a good thing. However, constantly comparing ourselves to others can make us feel perpetually inadequate. Let's consider some facts. To be in the top 1% of income earners in the US, you'd need to make around $500,000 a year. Think of a highly specialized doctor named Bill. He earns this amount and is, by most standards, considered wealthy. Bill can afford nice cars, luxurious vacations, and delegate tedious tasks to others. Life was pretty good for Bill until he bought a vacation home in the Hamptons and discovered that his neighbor, Stan, is in the top 1% of the 1%. Stan is the CEO of a significant public company, earning a staggering $10 million per year. You might hope that Stan would be content with his financial accomplishments, but nope, he's friends with basketball legend Michael Jordan, who belongs to the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Compared to Michael's $2 billion fortune, Stan's $10 million salary suddenly seems insignificant. But it doesn't stop there. Michael occasionally mingles with celebrities, and a guy named Jeff Bezos pops up. Bezos is in the top 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. In 2020, his net worth increased by about $75 billion, reaching a staggering $200 billion. There's always someone richer. The kind of envy that stems from these comparisons has led people throughout history to make foolish choices. Some have taken excessive risks with their investments to climb higher in the financial hierarchy, only to lose everything and face devastating consequences. Others have engaged in illegal activities, damaging their reputation and freedom. Many have sacrificed their family life, only to have their partners leave them or engage in infidelity. As you learn about becoming a successful investor on this channel, you're likely to attain a level of financial freedom that the average person can only dream of. However, there comes a point when you need to accept that you have enough. We won't trade something we have and need for something we don't have and don't need, even if we'd like to have it. Takeaway 3. Understanding differences in wealth behavior. At first glance, it might appear that many people make strange decisions with their money. Some splurge on extravagant purchases, while others stash their cash under their mattresses. But it's crucial to remember that people come from diverse backgrounds with distinct childhoods, upbringing, life experiences, and education. All of these factors shape our unique perspectives and values. What may seem irrational to you could make perfect sense to someone else. Morgan Housel illustrates this using the example of lottery tickets. In the United States, households with the lowest incomes spend over $400 per year on the lottery, which is 4 times more than the average spent by the highest income group. It's important to consider that over a third of Americans can't come up with $400 for an emergency. You might wonder if these individuals are spending their emergency fund on lottery tickets, which seems illogical. However, from their viewpoint, they live paycheck to paycheck, have minimal room for saving, lack education, and a clear career path, can't afford vacations or new cars, and can't provide their children with a college education without accumulating massive debt. For them, buying a lottery ticket represents a chance to partake in the dream that many of us already live. That's why they purchase more lottery tickets than we do. It might not seem so irrational now, does it? How does this understanding make you a better investor? For one, recognizing our differences prevents us from blindly copying an investment portfolio or strategy that doesn't align with our own goals. Your risk tolerance might be higher than a billionaire's, especially if your primary focus is on becoming wealthy rather than staying wealthy. Imitating a billionaire's portfolio might not be the best approach for your goals. Acknowledging these differences can also make it easier to say no to investments that fall outside your circle of expertise. Take the GameStop saga, for instance. If you're not a seasoned trader, you might choose not to participate in such a market event because it's simply not within your realm of expertise. Understanding that people have different perspectives, or at least recognizing that various lenses exist to view the world, will help you make better sense of our society and lead you toward a path that aligns with your unique circumstances. Takeaway 4. The unpredictable nature of black swans. What do the Great Depression, World War, I financial crises, and the COVID-19 pandemic have in common. They were all events that significantly shaped our society, had massive impacts on financial markets, and were nearly impossible to foresee. Nassim Taleb, one of my favorite authors, would call these events black swans. A black swan is something extraordinary. 1. It's an outlier. Nothing in the past can convincingly point to the possibility of such an event. 2. It has a profound impact. 3. It seems explainable after the fact. Human nature often tricks us into thinking that we should have somehow known these events would happen all along. Consider Black Monday in 1987. How would you have reacted to the stock market losing nearly one-fourth of its value in a single day? Would you have been among those shouting, "Sell, sell"? Or would you have weathered the storm, perhaps investing extra funds you had set aside? Here's an intriguing fact. If you had invested in the S&P 500 index 20 years ago, but missed out on the 4 best performing days in the stock market, your return would be 164% instead of 291%. That's a substantial difference. The lesson from this takeaway is that it's more valuable to prepare yourself mentally and financially for unforeseeable disasters than to hope you can react faster than everyone else. Stop paying too much attention to macroeconomic predictions. The things that will cause significant fear among investors in the future are those that are unlikely to be predicted anyway. Takeaway 5. The temptation of pessimism. Imagine I handed you a list of reasons why the stock market is likely to crash later this year. I mentioned the enormous U.S. government debt, the potential for stimulus checks to lead to inflation, and the emergence of new COVID-19 strains. Chances are you'd be intrigued and might start seeing the current market cycle in a rather negative light. On the other hand, if I provided examples of why things are expected to get better, like rising life expectancy, the decreasing cost of sustainable energy, and the rapid growth of computing power, you'd probably just shrug your shoulders and not think much about it. We all know that pessimistic people often sound very smart, while optimists can come across as naive. But have you ever wondered why? Daniel Kahneman, the author of Thinking, Fast and Slow, explains that our tendency to lean towards pessimism and listen to pessimists is an evolutionary trait. He says, when directly compared or weighted against each other, losses loom larger than gains. Organisms that treat threats as more urgent than opportunities have a better chance to survive and reproduce. Pessimists grab our attention not only because of our evolutionary instincts, but also because setbacks tend to happen much faster than progress. Progress seldom occurs overnight, while setbacks can be swift and dramatic. It's easier to create a captivating and persuasive story around setbacks, so they tend to receive more attention. Constructing an optimistic narrative about the future requires a longer time perspective, which can make it seem vaguer and less dramatic. Understanding that you might be more drawn to pessimism and less to optimism can help you balance your perspective. As Hans Rosling from Sweden would say, the world is better than you think. To recap, here are some key takeaways. Achieving wealth in the stock market comes with the cost of enduring volatility. Envy can be destructive, so avoid risking what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need. Different perspectives can lead to different rational actions. Instead of trying to predict disasters, prepare yourself mentally and financially to weather them. Be cautious when taking investment advice and recognize that pessimism can appeal more to your survival instincts than optimism. That's it for today, but it's not the end of Morgan Housel's wisdom. Be sure to check out his book. It's a valuable resource. If you're eager to delve deeper into the connection between human psychology and money, here's a suggestion for your next viewing.
We're keen to hear your thoughts on our content. Feel free to share your opinions or recommend books in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Business Book Summaries and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest summaries. Thank you and have a wonderful day.